Difference of managerial control, traditional and modern techniques. 1. What is traditional techniques? Traditional techniques refer to the technique that have been used by business organizations for a longer period of time and are still in use. A. Personal observation. B. Statistical report. C. Break-even analysis. D. Budgetary control. A. Personal observation. This is the most traditional technique of control. It helps a manager to collect first-hand information about the performance of the employees. It also creates psychological pressure on the employees to improve their performance as they are aware that they are being observed personally by the manager. However, this technique is not to be actively used in all kinds of jobs as it is very time-consuming. B. Statistical report. Statistical analysis in the form of percentage, ratio, average, etc. in different areas provide useful information regarding performance of an organization to its manager. When such information is presented in the form of table, graphs, chart, etc., it facilitates comparison of performance with the standard late and with previous year performance. C. Break-even analysis. The technique used by managers to study the relationship between sales volume, cost and profit is known as break-even analysis. These techniques help the manager in estimating profit at different levels of activity. The following figure shows break-even chart of a firm. The point at which the total revenue and total cost curve intersects in break-even point. The figures show that the firm will have the break-even point at 60,000 units of output. At this point, there is neither profit nor loss. The firm starts earning profit beyond this point. Break-even point equal fixed cost over selling price per unit minus variable cost per unit. Through break-even analysis, a firm can keep a check on its variable cost and can also determine the level of activity at which it can earn its profit target.
D. Budgetary control. Under this technique, different budgets are prepared for different operations in an organization in advance. These budgets act as standards for comparing them with actual performance and taking necessary action for attaining organization goals. A budget can be defined as a quantitative statement of expected result prepared for a future period of time. The budget should be flexible so that a necessary change, if need be, can be easily made later according to the requirements of the prevailing environment. Types of budget. Different types of budget are as follows. 1. Sales budget. Sales budget is expected sales in terms of quantity as well as the volume. Second, production budget. Production budget is expected production in a budgeted period. Third, material budget. Material budget is expected quantity and cost of material required for production. Fourth is cash budget. Cash budget is expected inflow and outflow of cash for the budgeted period. 5 is capital budget. Capital budget is estimated spending on a fixed asset. 6 is research and development budget. Research and development budget is expected spending on research and development work. Advantage of budgetary control. The following are the main advantage of budgetary control. 1. Helps in coordination. It helps in establishing coordination and independence among various departments. For example, forecast of budget cannot be prepared without knowing quantity of materials required, and that information comes in form production budget. Later, in turn, is based on sales budget. Second, Optimum utilization of resources. Budgeting ensures fuller utilization of resources by allocating the resources according to the needs of various departments. Third is motivating employees. Budgeting helps in motivating the employees to perform better as they know the standards against which their performance will be judged. Fourth, helps in attaining targets. Budgeting ensures attainment of organizational goals by focusing on specific and time-bound targets. 5. Facilities management by exception. By stressing on the operation which deviate from budgeted standard, it facilitated management by exception in the organizational. Limitation of budgetary control. 1. Rigidity. Budgets are often too rigid and restrictive, and supervisors are given little freedom in managing their resources. The budgets may be either changed too often or not at all, making it difficult for employees to meet performance level expected of them. 2 is lack of action. Only preparing budgets cannot lead to success unless and until these are not put into action. There is a need to translate this budget figures into results. 3 is time consuming. Preparing different kinds of budgets is not an easy thing as it involves a lot of time, money and efforts. 4. Estimate. Generally, budgets are prepared on the basis of the price level prevailing at a particular time period, but these estimates may become useless during subsequent inflation or depreciation in the market.
Modern techniques are those techniques which are very new in management work. These techniques provide various new aspects for controlling the activities of an organization. A. Return on investment. Return on investment is very useful technique for determining whether the capital invested in the business has been effectively used or not for generating reasonable amount of return. Total investment includes investment in fixed assets as well as working capital. It acts as an effective control device in measuring and comparing the performance of different departments. It also helps departmental managers to find out the problems which adversely affect return on investment. Next is ratio analysis. Ratio analysis is a technique of analyzing the financial statement of a business firm by computing different ratios. The most commonly used ratios have been grouped under following categories. The first one is liquidity ratios. Liquidity ratios are calculated to know short-term financial position of business and its ability to pay short-term liabilities. It includes current ratio and quick ratio. The second is solvency ratios. Solvency ratios are calculated to know long-term solvency of the business and its ability to pay its long-term debts. It includes debt equity ratio, proprietary ratio, and interest coverage ratio. The third, profitability ratios. Profitability ratios like gross profit ratios, net profit ratios, and operating ratio help to analyze the profitability position of a business. The last, turnover ratios. The various turnover ratios like inventory turnover ratio, debtors turnover ratio, and fixed assets turnover ratio help in knowing whether the resources are effectively used for increasing the efficiency of operation of business or not. Higher turnover indicates better utilization of resources.
Accounting have 4 various responsibility. The responsibility accounting is under the system of accounting. Various section, department, or division of an organization are set up as responsibility centers. Each center has a head who is responsible for attaining the target of his center. The various responsibility centers are as follows. 1. Cost center. Cost center, also known as expense center, refers to a department of an organization whose manager is held responsible for the costs incurred in the center but not the revenues. For example, production department of an organization may be classified as cost center. 2. Revenue center. A revenue center refers to a department with its responsibility for generating revenue, for example, marketing department. 3. Profit center. A profit center refers to a department whose manager is responsible for both cost and revenues, for example, repair and maintenance department. 4. Investment center. An investment center is responsible for profit as well as investment made in the form of asset. For judging the performance of investment center, return on investment ROI is calculated and compared with similar data for previous years for one own center as well as other similar enterprise. It is also compared with current data of competing enterprise. D. Management audit. Management audit is a process of judging the overall performance of the management of an organization. It aims at reviewing the efficiency and effectiveness of management and improving its future performance. Its basic purpose is to identify the deficiency in the performance of management function. It also ensures updating of existing managerial policies. Following are the main advantages of management audit. 1. It identifies the deficiency in the performance of management functions. 2. It helps in improving coordination among the functions of various departments. 3. It ensures required modification in the existing managerial policies and techniques according to environmental change. 4. The continuous monitoring of the performance of management helps in improving control system. There is no proper technique of management audit, and also it is not compulsory under any law.
PRT and CPM. PRT known as Program Evaluation and Review Technique, and CPM known as Critical Path Method. There are two important techniques used in both planning and controlling. These techniques are used to compute the total expected time needed to complete a project, and it can identify the bottleneck activities that have a critical effect on the project completion date. Such techniques are mainly used in areas like construction projects, aircraft manufacture, and shipbuilding. There are various steps involved in using these techniques are as follows. Point 1. The project is first divided into various activities, and then these activities are arranged in a logical sequence. Point 2. A network diagram is prepared showing the sequence of activities. Point 3. Time estimates are laid down for each activity. PRT prepares 3 time estimates. The estimates are optimistic, most likely time, and pessimistic. In CPM, only 1 time estimate is prepared. Along with this, CPM also lays down the cost estimates for completing the project. Point 4. The most critical path in the network is the longest path. Longest path consists of those activities which are critical for completing the project on time. Hence the name CPM. Point 5. If required, necessary changes are made in the plan for completing the project on time. Next, the advantage of management information system are as follows. Point 1. It provides only relevant information to the managers, thus saving him from information overload. Point 2. It facilitates collection and management of information at different levels and department of the organization. Point 3. It helps in planning, controlling, and decision making at all levels of an organization. Point 4. It helps in improving the quality of information.
Last, it ensures cost effectiveness by providing all important information to the management in time. Next, taking corrective action. It was the final step in the process of controlling involves taking corrective action. If the deviations are within acceptable limits, no corrective measure is required.